top of the Amazon iRobot deal. JetBlue Spirit merger also facing, we know, regulatory headwinds after a judge blocked it. But we've also seen a string of deal activity to start the year. Some of the largest deals so far: Synopsys acquiring Ansys, Sunoco announcing its deal to acquire Newstar, and Chesapeake merging with Southwestern Energy. Joining us now is Barron's reporter Jacob Sonnenschein. Jacob, it is good to see you. Maybe, Jacob, just we'll start here with kind of setting the scene for us in 2024. When it comes to M&A, Jacob, these, different moving pieces, financing costs, the election, got geopolitical conflict, giving all that, Jacob, I'm just interested to get your take. Where are we and how do you see kind of the market evolving over 2024?
From a macro standpoint, just when you mentioned the election and all that stuff, but from an economic standpoint, this year, whether earnings in the U.S. disappoint or surprise to the upside, earnings on the S&P 500 are going to grow. We're getting an economy that's growing low to mid single digits at this point. Sales are going to grow in line with that. Margins are going to be fine, and bottom line growth could be close to the double digits, somewhere around there. As long as the market is confident in that the economy is holding in there and that the Fed is lowering rates, you have a cost of borrowing. If you're a buyer of a company, you have a cost of borrowing that's moving lower, and your return on a purchase with earnings looking pretty good is brightening. So you can finance that deal. You have a good stream of profits coming. You compare that to last year, you should get growth in M&A this year after it was down last year to about $3 trillion globally.
All of that may be true, but if the Feds come in and block your deal, you're out of luck, right? So, Jacob, what kind of environment are we seeing that regulatory environment as a curb on even some of these proposals being made in the first place?
Yeah, so I think in the airline space, it's going to be a little bit tougher from a regulatory standpoint. First of all, like you guys mentioned with Amazon and iRobot, the EU is known to be a little bit tougher from a regulatory standpoint in the U.S. With airlines in the U.S., you had JetBlue, trying to make a play for, another small discount airline. They would have to buy that for $3 billion. JetBlue doesn't even have $1 billion in cash. It would have to use a lot of debt. It'd be a very difficult deal to do. And then you had, from a regulatory standpoint, the argument was, well, consumers need to have the discount segment of the market there and available for them. You have to make sure that market is competitive. You can't have too much consolidation in that discount part of the market. So it's tough for airlines. When it comes to pharma, it's a little bit easier. There have been some regulatory arguments made against Amgen's $28 billion purchase of Horizon, but that deal is going through. You're seeing more deals in pharma going through because you're talking about large drug makers that need to boost their pipelines, that can pretty easily make acquisitions. And the argument in pharma and drugs is harder to make from a regulatory standpoint than airlines, where consumers need to have that discount part of the market.
And Jacob, another issue I want to get your take on, it can just take so long, Jacob, to get these deals done now. I mean, really think about like Microsoft Activision or Broadcom VMware. I'm just wondering, Jacob, whether you think that is a kind of hurdle. Do you think a lot of CEOs think, what, I see an asset, I think it makes sense financially, I think it makes sense strategically, but wow, I know it's going to take forever to cross the finish line here. Do you think that is a challenge to the market in 2024?
I wouldn't say I don't think it's a challenge. I think again, it's very sector specific. Like obviously the Microsoft Activision situation, has been a pretty drawn out situation. If you're a company that thinks that you can that your earnings and the business is performing well today for the next year, then you can hold your cash and say, we'll see if we can make this large acquisition. Maybe there's some companies that say, you know what, let's make sure we get those dividends, those buybacks flowing. Probably something like Microsoft is going to want to make its strategic acquisitions. But I will say, by the way, in pharma, I think there's more to happen in pharma. We've already gotten tens of billion dollars of deals in pharma in the last year or so. But I just added up net debt for three big pharma companies. That's not even all of them. It's like $80 billion, and EBITDA earnings next for this year is going to be almost $70 billion. That's really feasible. There's so much cash out there today in pharma for more deals to happen. In terms of deals taking a long time, I think if a company really wants to get it done, they'll get it done.
Yeah, maybe Amazon and iRobot didn't necessarily want to get it done as much. We'll see. Jacob, thank you so much. Appreciate it.